So what were you working on out there?
I was just weeding, just going through, pulling up weeds and stuff.
Okay, so first thing people are going to ask me about is, where's the tank at and how come you're using this instead of that?
This one here is just easier to get around. Those big tracks, just getting in the tight pace. This is just much easier to maneuver.
I heard you have cool pears going on right now.
Pears? Yeah. This is an Asian pear, and then if you look at this one over here, you'll see multiple varieties of the same tree because there's been a lot of grafting on that. And then there's one over here. This one here is my favorite. It's called Clapp's Favorite, and this one, it's just really a delicious, great pear. Do you want a little snack?
A snack?
Yeah, that plum tree right there. Those plums are really good.
This one here?
Yeah.
Oh, those are really good. You had some new people here when I came in.
Uh huh.
Who's the couple that are here?
They're just some people that had seen the film. They live in Carolina, but they're moving here now. They really like the Northwest. Who wouldn't?
Right.
And so they're planning on making a move here.
So they're here helping you out?
Yeah, they're kind of just camping out too. He has a job. He's working. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but he's got a job. And
He was telling me that he was doing some herbalist kind of stuff for some of the people around the area.
Mm-hmm.
So what's new? You have anything new to show us?
There's nothing really new. Just it's pretty much the same. Just maintaining,
Yeah. They were telling me that you started planting potatoes under every tree.
Not every tree, but I had a whole bunch under here. We had a really nice crop came out of here, and there's several other trees that got potatoes growing under too.
That is a lot of apples there.
Isn't it? It's just, and you look at all my trees, man, they're loaded. It's just it's a lot of apples.
You gonna be able to store them all?
No, we're trying to get that walk-in cooler functional, because we want to start storing apples again because we've missed on having them. But I can't store them all. There's a limited space.
What are the pink flowers over there? Is that like a sunflower?
No, it's a medicine. Echinacea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, they're pretty tall.
Yeah, they're doing well. That's a echinacea.
Yeah, your corn's really high.
Yeah, we've been eating corn. It's been good. Had some last night. Well, you saw me eating it.
Yeah. I saw a new puppy over there. Is that yours or
Yes,
theirs?
that's our dog.
How's the fence working out?
The fence has been such a blessing. I'll tell you, I'm so grateful for this fence. What a wonderful gift those people gave to me. Because it's just, nothing gets in here now. It's just, everything's safe. And it's just...
That's why you have so many apples?
Yeah, exactly. And everything is, like I said, just completely isolated from the outside world as far as the critters are concerned. Yeah, that was a special blessing people provided.
You were telling me about a magazine that you were in?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it. Some wrote an article. God, why can't I think of the name of that magazine? It was a really nice article. It had some pictures and just kind of the history of my garden and how it's growing and doing.
You, I know that you planted a couple Cosmic Crisp.
Yeah, they're on the edge out here.
Are they doing good?
Yeah, you can see they got fruit in them. Yes, those young trees on the edge of
Oh wow, those are them?
Yeah.
Oh, they really did get big.
Oh, and they're not even started yet. They're babies.
I see a couple trellises out there.
Yeah, we were growing climber bean. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Like a pole bean.
A pole bean. yeah, that was working out good for the pole beans. And then Carol's growing tomatoes, and what we're doing, we have a string there on the top, and the string's going down, and the tomatoes are tied to it, so they just climb up the string, and that really makes it easy to pick and keeps them off the ground. They're small. We can't grow the big tomatoes here, so these are all the smaller ones. But the little ones still taste good. There's not a lot of tomato.
What's the reason why you can't grow big tomatoes?
It's just not a long enough season. It's just not hot enough. You need good temperature for the tomatoes.
See, the cherry tree is nice and full.
Boy, we had so many cherries this year. And it's amazing how the birds waited till the very end to come, and we were out here every day for like weeks, just completely filling ourselves on cherries. And both the trees did really, really well produced. And it was interesting because usually the birds get them all, but for whatever reason they just were really late this year and didn't bother them.
So if the place you're getting your wood chips has been getting a lot more pine and pine needles and stuff, should we worry about that? Or
pine is one of my favorite wood chips. I love pine. The needles are really great, and they're really nice wood chips. I love pine. Pine's great.
You won't have any issues with like the acidity or something in
there? Here's the irony of what they tell you in schools. If you look at the forest, how green it is, it's all maintained by wood chips. Needles, leaves, and twigs that fall from the ground when the wind blows or trees fall over. And everything is green. What's up with the nitrogen tie-up? It's just, I've had scientists from the University of Washington come out here, and I explain to them, look at the color of my leaves. They're shocked at how green they are. I says, where's the nitrogen tie-up? The whole thing's covered with wood chips. They're shocked because it's just not there. So again, I don't know where they get these. I think maybe if you till it in, you might have some issues. I'm sure you'll have issues, but if you leave it on top of the ground like nature does, it's perfect.
So in the growing seasons, do you have like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or do you just kind of come out here?
Graze. All day in the day, I see something ripe on the ground, I just pick up and eat it.
Do you think that was the way it was meant to be?
Well, look at that in the garden. God didn't issue that Adam and Eve a stove and refrigerator. They just graze, and everything in nature grazes. It's only us that put food in the refrigerator, let it die, and then cook it and kill all the enzymes. I mean, it's dumb, really, when you think about what we do, and we call it convenience. And food eaten immediately has so much more nutritional value than food that's stored. I think it's amazing. They say like in 10 minutes, some of the produce lose up to 80% of its metabolic properties in 10 minutes after it's picked. It's huge how much food's lost, how much nutrition's lost in the storage process.
I know we're not back there right now, but can you tell us a little bit about your outhouse and the design and how to make it odorless? And
an outhouse, if you ever go to outhouses that homeowners have, they stink, all of them. But if you go to the ones the county has, they don't stink. And so I observe that, because when I do trees, I have to find bathrooms. So I usually find outhouses that the county set up. And I observe the difference. All the counties have 6-inch vents going out. All the homeowners have 4-inch. And it's amazing 2 more inches of space, how much more air it pulls out. And it's huge. It makes such a difference. People go to my outhouse, they can't believe it. There's no odor there because those 6-inch vents just pull everything out.
Where is it that you get your chickens from?
I get my chickens from Murray Hatchery. They're really, they've been a really, really faithful, good source of chickens for years, and I've been always very, very pleased with them.
In a video from a long time ago, you were talking about a type of kale that you got from Kenya. Do you know what that was?
Yeah, and I don't have it anymore. It wasn't that great. It got big, but it wasn't really that. I felt that the lacinato kale is a lot better.
And what's the other one?
Russian kale and lacinato kale is what I grow here. right over there, you can take a picture of how. Look at the size of it already. Right underneath.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's big for kale, and that just came up from a seed.
Did you plant that seed there?
No, it
Or?
just blew in.
A lot of people call you a prophet. Do you think of yourself that way?
No, not at all. My wife is. She's a seer, but I'm not.
So we've been coming out here since 2012. That's what, 12 years now?
Yeah, 24.
You look almost virtually the same. Your hair color, you don't really look like you've aged all that much. What do you attribute that to?
Live food. Live food's amazing. It's just really, really good for us.
So you've done this on what? Total of a half an acre?
All my garden space and all my orchard is half an acre.
Do you think that this could be ramped up to like a production level?
Well, look at nature. There's millions of acres that God's doing this on all over the world,
But if I had, 500 acre farm, would I be able to sustain all of this? And what you're having a problem with is getting the harvest, collecting all of it without it, I don't know, without machines, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, you need a lot of labor, and but it can always go to nature, and there's millions of acres all over the, who's doing any work in the forest? No one's showing up for work, and everything maintains great. It's just, and it's amazing. They claim that we're intelligent beings. We should be paying attention to this, because for myself, I used to work so hard to fail. It was pathetic.
What's the flow rate of your current well? Do you know?
Yeah, the well I have now puts out 20 gallons a minute, which is such a blessing because we have all the water we need. It's so good.
What was the first one?
Half a gallon a minute.
Wow.
That barely maintain a house. If my wife's doing the clothes, can't take a shower. You got to wait, And we had a 125 gallon holding tank, but even so, that's just half a gallon a minute. It just is not. It's hard to make do.
So where is it you get your wood chips?
I get my wood chips from local tree services. This whole thing with the Bactine film changed the whole perspective for wood chips. For years, tree services would have to take their wood chips to the dump and pay to dump them. Now, people are paying them for the wood chips. I mean, it's changed everything. It's just phenomenal.
How do you graft a pear tree? Is it the same as
an apple? Yeah.
Are there any trees that would be different grafting than?
I don't know. I haven't grafted all of them, but I've never heard of anything being any different.
Like cherry tree would be the same?
Yeah. Again, it's just, the cambium layer below the bark is the only living part of the tree. The center part is there for support. It's not living. It's that green layer, and that's where all the life force is, going through the tree. And so when you graft, those parts are connected. They just, fuse together and continue to grow.
I see you got some sheep out there in the pasture?
Uh-huh. Got to keep that grass down, so.
Now, there's only 4 or 5 out there?
No, there's 6.
6? Are those yours, or
yes,
are they from?
Those are our sheep.
Does that guy still bring his sheep over?
No, these are enough.
So not everybody has even a half an acre to do any kind of gardening on. If you're living in an apartment or something, is there still something that you can do to grow your own food?
You can grow things in containers. And there was one young woman. It was amazing. She went and got put wood chips over blacktop, and it was growing a great garden.
Wow. So what? The roots go down, hit the blacktop, and they just kind of spread out.
Mm-hmm.
How's your health?
My health is great. I feel so thankful. I aside from my ability to walk, I have great health. I have strength and energy. I sleep well. I haven't had any cold or flu or anything for 35 years. I feel so thankful. And I attribute it just to good food.
I know a few years ago they took out a lot of the trees in the back.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on clear cutting for like a forested area or even a
It shouldn't be
property?
clear cut. You should thin. Always be leaving some trees there. Clear cutting is really a poor idea. It was interesting. Right in front of me some hills here, and when we first came, they logged that, and there were some really nice big trees that they took out. 30 years later, they logged again, and they chipped them all because there were so small trees. They weren't big enough for lumber. And it was really interesting, for me to observe that, to see how that clear cutting really affected the return in a really negative way.
Are you still anti weed fabric?
I don't like stuff in the ground. Like plastic is really toxic. It's not a viable material. So again, my wood chips are a great ground cover. They're totally controlling the weeds. I have hardly any weeds coming up in them. They're comfortable beyond. There's never any mud. There's always airspace. Things really grow well. The soil's always being fed. It just makes so much more sense than this toxic dead stuff.
Do you ever get with all the wood chips any issues with funguses or molds or anything like
No,
that?
they happen out here, but they're all good. They're beneficial. I see, and a lot of mushrooms come up. Those are funguses.
Earlier, I was walking around over by the side of the house and I saw your, what do you call it,
Catio.
catio. Cat still loving that?
Oh, they do. Yeah, they go in and out of things all day long.
Now, you also have some outdoor cats. Are those yours?
There's only
or
one.
just-
It's a white one, Fig. She's a great cat. But that's the only one we have that's outside. Other two are in the house.
She just doesn't want to come inside?
Well, no,
or?
she just has always been outside. These two here, Carol bought, they're like real expensive African serval and bobcats, so they're not. They get outside occasionally, but they always come back in. But we're afraid if we leave them out, something might take them or kill them, or they were expensive. You see, don't want to risk losing them. But the one Azar, he's such a sneak. He'll hide behind. He knows when you come to the door, and he's just so amazing how he's just so there. I always have to be so alert because he gets out occasionally.
Do you have any plants in your garden that you wish weren't here? Any invasive kind of?
No, I don't. Because if I don't want something, I get it out. I don't let it become invasive.
I've always noticed that right along the railroad ties, you have a nice kind of clean edge there. You
Line trimmer.
you do it purposely? Okay.
Yeah.
It's not something that's like in the railroad ties
Oh, no,
that
no.
stops stuff from.
No. But I tell you, the nicest barriers for a garden or whatever is concrete. What's nice about concrete, you can put in forms, make nice bends, and you can make it really really attractive, and it's permanent. It lasts forever, and it's really cheap. Railroad ties are expensive. They last a long time. They don't last forever. But concrete is just makes a great barrier.
Do you have any oak trees out here?
No.
One of the comments from a while back was at this pinpoint part of the video, you said something about some kind of oak tree, and I'm like, I don't think you have any oaks.
No.
What do you think about wood chips or mulch in like bags from like Home Depot?
They're not good. I would never get those.
What if it's all you have access to? You said any organic material will work.
I don't know. I've just never been in a position where I haven't had access to wood chips, so I don't know how to respond because I've always had them. Grass clippings is a nice cover, but it doesn't last long, and when it gets wet, it gets really slimy and stuff. But it works. It'll cover the ground for a bit. Leaves, good old leaves, and I guess you go out into the forest and rake up stuff and haul that in, but then you're depriving the forest, and that's probably not a good idea to be making bare spaces out in the forest.
What's the hottest it gets out here?
The hottest I've seen was once like 106. That was several years ago, but that only happened once. This is a very, very mild climate here. And I think the ocean, is a major heat sink, and it really regulates weather. You don't get extremes.
I don't know what this word is. Lichens?
Lichen.
Lichens?
Lichen.
So what do you do if your fruit trees are covered in that?
Open them up so you get sunlight. Sunlight will burn it off. They're just too shaded. But if you peel it off, you'll notice the bark down below it is totally normal. It's not harmful to the tree. It's just irritating to look at. It's just excessive cover you don't really care for.
And there's no way that it'll damage the fruit or
No,
anything?
it doesn't hurt the tree at all. Like I say, it's a parasite of the air. It's living off the air.
So if you're doing wood chips for, say, a garden, like your very first garden that you're going to do you want to put it down thick or just kind of thin over
Thin,
some compost?
because you initially have to pull the wood chips back and plant your seeds in the soil. They won't grow in the wood chips. Then as your plants come up, then you push the wood chips back around your plants to cover the ground and feed that soil. Because as the wood chips are laying there, they're composting. Every time water goes through it, it creates compost tea that feeds the soil. So with the wood chip cover, your soil is always being upgraded, always being fed, supported.
So when you say thin, you're talking...
Like 3 or 4 inches is all you want in a garden space.
And then what about if you're doing your fruit tree for the first time?
Go as much as you want. I've had 16 inches out here. It was great. I felt like I was on a stage because it's so elevated, but it was wonderful.
And if I have just one fruit tree out in my property, how far out do I want to put the wood chips? Just around the base?
No,
or
goes.
to the
I have
plum?
a plum tree over here. It's right there, that have roots coming out 35-foot radius from the trunk. This is a dwarf tree. 35 feet, not diameter, radius. That's incredible.
I know you've talked about a book that you read or someone that you saw a video of that opened your eyes on how to hear God's voice.
Yeah, the title was Hearing the Voice of God by Mark Verkler. And it was just really, really significant. And one statement he made changed my whole life as far as being open to hear. He says, God's voice comes as a spontaneous thought. That was like all of a sudden just, wow. Because I'm looking for a voice. I'm looking for sound. And I don't get that. But spontaneous thought, I know what that looks like. And it was so helpful. And how I always, make sure it's God is I ask for confirmation, because the scripture says in Corinthians, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, truth is always confirmed. And so if God speaks to me, he'll confirm it. And that gives you confidence that you heard.
What growing zone are you in?
I don't know. I think it's 8 something, but I'm not really sure. I don't even pay attention or care about it. I just try to grow what I want.
Well, you try stuff out, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, you don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been growing rice out here. You've grown sage. You've grown blueberries. All things that require different things, and some of them worked and some of them haven't.
Well, most of them worked. I haven't. Can't really think of anything that hasn't grown here.
Is there anything from a different climate that you purposely tried to grow just to see if it would?
Yeah, there's an herb over here in the herb garden. I can't remember the name of it. It's a woman's herb. And the book says this plant must grow in full shade, not partial shade, full shade. So I went and planted it against the fence, south facing, the warmest place I could find. And it's thriving, growing great. So my sense is, so many of these things they tell you in books is they're coming from a perspective of poor soil. And from that perspective, you have to go through all these, precautions and steps to make it work, because it's unhealthy. When a plant's healthy, it just overcomes.
If you didn't spend the last part of your life being an arborist, having this garden, living out here, is there something else that you would have wanted to have done?
I don't know. I've never really contemplated that question, so I'm not sure.
Didn't you go to school to be a minister, a pastor?
Well, not
or
I didn't.
something?
I went to school to connect with God. I didn't want to be a. I never felt a desire to be in ministry as it's called. You know.
Now, you prune your trees every year.
Yes.
In nature, do trees get pruned that much?
Well, trees get pruned. Not that way, but you know, in high winds and stuff, or heavy fruit production, stuff breaks off, and so that's a form of pruning. But you know, my experience is that the trees grow. You know, pruning is a stimulant. It really increases vigor and growth. If you want it to grow, cut it. It's phenomenal how it really, stimulates growth.
Now, when you're pruning your trees, no more than how much?
1/3 at any one time. 1/3 is the max.
And what are you trying to accomplish there?
Well,
Just
basically,
lowering the height?
and opening it up. If you look at my trees, you know they're getting really full, and see, it's important for everything to have exposure to sun and light, and so I always open things up so I have plenty of access to sunlight and airspace.
When the soil levels of your chicken run get too high, you take some of that, screen it out, and put it out
In
into
the
the
garden.
garden. But you never put any of it out here into the
No.
orchard.
No, because it's such nice fine stuff. I can plant seeds in, so I want to use it in the garden.
Would it benefit the orchard to have some thrown on?
I'm sure it couldn't hurt. All that stuff is beneficial. But I keep coming to the reality is that there doesn't appear to be any lack here. Everything would be just an addition to already plenty. So it'd just be like bonus.
Are you still growing ginkgo?
Yeah, it's still out there. Yeah, it's still growing.
Do you use it for anything?
No,
It's just there.
it's just there. It's a really beautiful. I love the leaves. It's just a very very unique, leaf that it has. It's just really a nice tree. It's probably one of the oldest known trees that still exists. I mean, it has a long history.
Really?
Yeah.
Even over, say, like olive or...
Oh yeah, it goes way back.
So apples won't bear seeds after themselves because they
They're
cross-pollinate.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's anything bad for trying to cross-pollinate to get a different...
Not bad. This is why we have so many varieties. They keep doing it. Honeycrisp is a new variety. It's only been around but it's awesome, and it's just really great when they come up with these really cool new varieties. Like, I love Honeycrisp. I'm so thankful that someone made the effort to develop that.
And the Cosmic Crisp ones
Yeah,
are...
but Cosmic Crisp to me is not near as good as Honeycrisp. They claim it's great, but I don't think it's all that great. I much prefer Honeycrisp over Cosmic Crisp.
One of the things about the Cosmic Crisp apples is that you can cut into them and they don't brown.
Uh-huh.
Is that natural?
Well, for whatever reason, that it doesn't happen in most apples, but it does for that. I don't know the reason for it, so I'm not sure. But most apples, cut them open, they'll turn brown.
Do you still have nut trees here?
No. I have a hazelnut, but it's like a small kind of dwarf, but I don't have another one to cross pollinate, so it never gets any nuts.
Is there a reason why you don't have more nut trees?
No, I just don't.
I always thought it was more like because like the cherry trees, they just kind of get too big.
Nut trees will get pretty big, yeah.
Now, can you graft other kinds of nuts into, say, like a walnut tree or a hazelnut tree?
I'm not sure. I've never done it, so I don't know. I think you probably could, but I just don't know.
If you were to take your hazelnut tree and graft another type into it, would that cross-pollinate it?
Could.
It'd be kind of interesting to see. Do you think crop rotation is necessary?
No. Look in nature. Crops aren't rotated in nature.
But here in your garden, you don't say every spring plant this kale in this exact spot. No. It's just kind of whatever comes up next is there's an empty hole here.
Whatever space is available, whatever I feel like doing, I do, and I don't have any rules or plan.
Except like the corn's usually kind of towards the end, the taller stuff.
Well, because it's later. I plant it later. It can't be planted early because it's not warm enough.
Some people get a lot of slugs when they first start doing a back-gated garden. Is there any thoughts on why?
I don't know. I've had slugs, but never an issue, never a lot. I think slugs. This, this is a rough surface to be on, where dirt is more even and not as rough. So I think that they probably are less attracted to hang out in this kind of a space than they would like in dirt. But a great, if you have a serious slug problem, ducks are really great in getting rid of them. They'll eat those things up and just.
Wouldn't ducks also eat up your garden?
I'm not sure. I've never had ducks. So I'm not really sure how they deal with produce.
Every morning you go and let the chickens out so they can run amok. You ever thought about just putting an automatic door?
No. Because automatic doors, they could fail.
What do you feed your chickens?
Well, we feed them pretty much all the yard waste goes in there, and then we get organic, grain, oats or barley or some good organic grain to feed them.
You ever add any like oyster shells?
Yeah, we have oyster. They need oyster shells to create their own shells, and because they're on the ground, they're getting plenty of grit, so I don't have to bring any grit in. But oyster shells I do provide for them.
Where do like wild chickens get oyster shells?
They don't. That's a lot of my question to the stuff we're supposed to do is in nature that doesn't happen, and the animals in nature are very healthy. They don't seem to have any problems, so they're getting it somewhere and they know how to get it.
You've been gardening this way for 40-ish years?
Well, here on this place for 33 years, but I had gardens in California, and I grew up gardening. So it's like 70 years. Because as a 5-year-old kid, I remember working in the garden with my dad. And my brother and I wore out shovels, spading heavy clay. So it's been something I've never not done.
But doing it this way.
This way, I've pretty much started when I got here, because I didn't have water, and so I was really challenged to grow a garden.
At your age, in your condition, less than ability to walk or something, if you had to start over day one here, would you do it the same way?
Yep.
After you started adding the wood chips to the ground, how long did it take before the effects of that showed up in your vegetables and your trees and stuff?
Well, it happened initially, and it just kept progressing. It was just getting better and better and better. And it still does.
You had hard clay soil, and you still do, it's just deeper down now. How long was it until adding the wood chips broke it up enough to where it wasn't a problem anymore?
I don't know the time frame as far as the years, how, because I really didn't keep track of it. I just noticed that it was progressive. I could keep, every year I could dig deeper, and I was getting softer.
You still have the rhododendrons over there?
Mm-hmm. I think there's just one.
What was the tree that grew like 3 from the bottom, like over there in the front?
Oh, that was a ginkgo. because when they brought my power line in, power company killed the ginkgo. So I just cut it down to the ground, but it came back from the stump as multiples.
Do you still have people coming out to check out your garden and visit with you?
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about 7 years having the ground rest?
That's a great question, because I asked God about that. And his response was really interesting to me. He says, I gave that law to people who were tilling and disturbing soil. If you look at nature, I don't let my garden rest every 7 years, because it's always resting. It's for people who are stressing the ground out with cultivation that need to let it rest. Because I was trying to figure out how I can make it rest. What do I do? How do I don't know how to do this, because it's always resting.
How do I turn this tree off for a day?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Last year when I was here, somebody mentioned electroculture with the wires going around the stick.
Yeah, right there is an example. Right, this little pole right here.
Oh, literally right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that that's doing anything?
My wife thinks that it really helps. I haven't really noticed the difference myself, so I'm not sure. But she's pretty convinced it's beneficial.
And it's not like it can hurt.
Oh no, not at all.
If I don't have the space, maybe a yard or something, to plant a tree, but I can plant one in a pot, is there any way to stop it from becoming root bound?
No, because you see the roots are gonna, because the pot's whatever shape it is, it's gonna grow around itself. As it continues to do that, it's gonna choke itself off, because the roots are just gonna keep expanding, and eventually it's just gonna, choke itself off.
Is there any way to keep that tree healthy and alive? Maybe pruning it to a certain size?
Well, the Japanese do it. It's called bonsai. And bonsai trees are basically on the edge of life. They're hardly living, because they're trying to slow them, keep them contained in the space, and so they're barely living. They're just giving enough space and life to survive, and just no more. Because they're against vigor. They want it to be maintained.
Over in the eastern Washington where I live, the nurseries always sell potted citrus trees, orange, lime, lemon, and the whole idea is to let it outside in the spring, summer, kind of fall, in the wintertime bring it in. But I always thought that if you did that, it would just keep it root bound.
Well, eventually it would get root bound in the container. You'd have to either take it out and prune the roots, or take it out and put it in a bigger container.
If I were going to use soil amendments, what kind of stuff should I use? Like fish emulsion or?
Fish emulsion is very good. Fish emulsion is a really good fertilizer.
What's the other one? Blood something?
Blood meal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, those are all organic materials that are in nature, and they're very, very, very beneficial to the soil.
The mesh wire that you use to screen your chicken compost, what is that? How big is it? What gauge?
They're like half-inch squares.
Just hardware cloth or something?
Mm-hmm. It's called hardware cloth, and they come in 30-inch wide strips, and so I just get like a 30-inch piece, put a wooden frame on it, and so I can really slide it easy, and it really works great. It's great. Works really quick and great for screening soil.
I have a couple pots for like my comfrey, maybe some tomatoes, and even though there's wood chips on there, it still keeps getting kind of dried out, the soil. That's because it's elevated.
Yes.
And you got the wind and the sun kind of baking on the sides.
Yeah.
Do you do anything special to stop snakes or foxes or whatever from getting to your chickens?
No, I just close them up at night.
You do have the willow tree over there kind of blocking the view from the birds.
Well, our access from the birds, they can't get through it, to get to chickens underneath it. Yeah, that's been a great deterrent, for predators.
Are you still growing stuff in there? I know you had some fig trees in
There's
there.
still a couple of fig trees in there. Yeah,
This tree looks fairly young
it is.
and it's fairly short. Did it have like a central leader on it?
Mm-hmm.
How old was it when you decided, okay, that's enough, and cut out that central leader?
I don't remember. Might have been just initially, you know.
So it's okay to make that cut just from day one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, it depends on the size of the tree you're dealing with. If it's a little tiny baby, there's nothing there. But if you got a tree that you're buying that's several years old, you have some established stuff that can be worked with.
Is the water in your fruits and vegetables and grass clippings and stuff enough to sustain the chickens, or do
No.
you still have to water them?
No, I have to provide water for them. They drink quite a bit of water.
Out in nature, I mean, unless chickens only live next to streams and stuff, how do they get water out there?
I don't know.
I guess they can fly though.
They can fly. Yeah, and I'm sure just it just makes sense that they would just know where sources are.
Right.
It's a survival thing.
Do you have any plans to try growing something different?
No.
Is there something that you're waiting to or wanting to try?
Nope.
Yesterday you were telling me about the solar that you put on your house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look, you can see those black panels on the roof.
Oh yeah. That's just to add some power back to the grid?
Yeah, so put back in the grid.
Is it helping with the electric bill at all?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever purposely grow mushrooms?
No.
Is there a reason why?
No.
Okay. Do you eat mushrooms?
Yes, I like mushrooms.
Do you recommend using cardboard or newspaper or what for your first
Cardboard seems to hold up. It's lasts a little longer.
I know there was a time when you were talking about some kind of brown, like the painters, just because it was easier to roll out.
Yeah. If you got big spaces to do, but the cardboard, will hold up pretty long before it breaks down, and make sure everything's dead under it.
What if you didn't want to use cardboard or newspaper because of whatever you think the chemicals or something? Would just laying out like a black tarp over the area until everything dies off, pulling it off, and then just putting the chips on top work?
The black tarp would kill it. When plants don't have exposure to light and air, they'll die. It's just kind of like us.
There was a video that we did where you were talking about someone or a group of people seeing Jesus in God form, and they were blinded or something because they couldn't even perceive what he actually looked like, and they're having trouble finding that scripture. You know what he's talking about?
No, I don't. In Revelation, it talks about when John sees the Lord, he falls at his feet as like dead man, and he says, "He was so bright, he was blind, he couldn't see." So that's in Revelation. This is him describing his experience in encountering, Jesus.
Right out front there by the road, that's a cherry tree, right?
Yeah,
With the tall.
Mm-hmm.
So all three of these then.
Yeah, there's a little cherry tree out there.
And you still have the fig tree out there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Saw the asparagus out there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a cow?
No cow. Never had a cow here. We've had horses, but we've never had a cow.
Have you ever thought about doing cows?
No.
What about goats?
Goats are a challenge to keep them in a fence. They jump fences. They're really hard to contain. We had a goat when we first came here, but I had to tie it up because it just would, always get out everywhere.
About how many chickens do you have now?
We're maybe like 15 or so. Not a whole lot.
Seeing all of these branches going straight up out here,
They'll
pruning this
those
winter.
those will all come off this winter.
That's going to be a chore.
Well, yeah, like I say, it's just the trees are so vigorous. They're so healthy. They put on a ton of growth.
Is this a new graft?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I still see the tape on there, but
yeah,
I see
yeah,
full of apples.
Or pears.
Or pears? These are pears?
They're pears.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's what I have to do now because I don't have any more room for trees. So if I want new varieties, I got to graft into what I have.
Well, that's all I have for this video. Bang around that bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos come out. Call us on the hotline if you have comments or questions and want to be featured in an upcoming video. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Check us out on the website, and we'll see you guys on the next one.